I'm Jenny White, Education Director for ROPE. We're here with TJ Schmidt, and you are with?
I'm with the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. I'm one of the staff contact attorneys at HSLDA.
Oh, so you're a homeschooling proponent.
Absolutely. In fact, I was homeschooled myself. My parents began homeschooling us back in the early 80s, and that's one of the reasons why I'm working at HSLDA, because homeschooling worked for me, and we're homeschooling our own children.
And as I think most people know, I homeschooled my kids. Still got one in 10th grade. It's worked for us as well. And we started out in the public school at the beginning. So we have noticed a big difference. So what I really wanted to talk to you about today, we have a bill that the governor has actually said in his State of the State address.
Right.
He's mentioned it specifically by number. It is our pro tem's bill.
Right.
And it is what they call a school choice bill. Our concern, I think people have noticed that we've not been in favor of the bill.
Right.
Our concern is government overreach. We're Republicans. We feel like, one of the things that you don't do is grow government. We feel like the bill does grow government considerably.
Right.
But the other thing we're really concerned about is the fingers of government getting into homeschool and into private school. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know you've read the bill.
Yeah, so obviously at Homeschool Legal Defense Association, we're supportive of school choice because homeschooling is a school choice.
Correct.
But I think we definitely agree with you that there's major concerns about using public funds to encourage homeschooling or other means of education, because again, with those public funds come public control. It just has to happen. And while many of the proponents of the bill are advocating that, well, there's only just a little bit of regulation in that, what happens 5 years down the road? Or even
if we have a different governor.
Right. What happens? But even just a little control that's involved, I think, is concerning, because, again, this bill would require you to get approval for either content providers. The state treasurer obviously is going to be mandated to write regulations. So many different requirements that would come, and I think
I don't have any right now.
Well,
I don't have
absolutely.
any requirements right now. As a matter of fact, of all the states in the union, Oklahoma continually gets people coming here from other states because of the fact that our homeschooling laws, well, it's constitutional. It's in the Constitution, number one.
Right.
Number two, they're so broad. I mean, we can do anything we want. Why would we want help? Why do we need government help?
We absolutely don't.
Oh,
and
okay.
I love coming to Oklahoma, because it is the best state, in my opinion, to be able to educate your children at home. Because just as you've said, Oklahoma has a rich history of protecting freedom for educational. In fact, back when the Constitutional Convention was held in 1906, 1907, the delegates discussed this very issue. Well, what about homeschooling? I don't send my child to school. It's too far for them to walk. It doesn't fit our family's needs. And they provided other means of education, specifically in the state constitution, to protect the freedom of parents to be able to educate their children at home. And what you're doing with 1647 is you're welcoming back the government control, welcoming back that regulation into something that we've enjoyed the freedom here in Oklahoma for over 100 years. Do we really want that?
Right. And one of the arguments that we've heard from several legislators is, our contention is that, okay, let's say you're the government. You take my money from me, right?
Sure.
And you take my money from me to provide for public education. Well, now, if you're going to turn around and just benevolently give that money back, you have taxpayers out there who are going to go, hey, you can't give that girl my money. You better tell me how she's spending that money, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there have to be some kind of government strings attached to money that was taxpayer money.
Right.
Because that's just, none of us want the government to take our money and then have no say-so over where it goes or no accountability. So that's the argument that we've had is, no, that's not true. Once the government gets it, it's still all taxpayer dollars. It's just a big pot. It can go whenever it wants. But
yeah, that's absolutely not true. And I think if you look at both the history and what other states have done, is you'll see that, they present these programs as great benefits. But then obviously there comes the accountability requirement that they have to oversee how the money is spent, where it's spent, and where it goes. And I think many families who first hear about these programs, I'm going to get X amount of money to help with my child's education. It sounds really good, but when you look at the details, they find out that it's not worth it. It's not worth the cost. Well, absolutely. I mean, I think whenever you participate in these kinds of programs, and what we've seen in other states is the fact that there's a lot of confusion, and parents who are privately educating their children at home, who are not taking the state money, are kind of lumped into the same category as these empowerment students.
Yeah.
And so that's a very major concern for us. Even in Arizona, where there is some language that says, no, these are empowerment students. These are not homeschool students, as we traditionally understand
sure, I
homeschooling.
Understand what you're saying. They define it differently.
But legislators, in their minds, well, these are homeschoolers,
Correct.
and they're taking state money. And so I think it's very difficult to kind of remove yourself from that. But as you've said, these types of bills mandate state control, state regulation. In fact, in 1647, there's specific direction that the treasurer must set up rules and regulation to establish how they're going to approve curriculum providers or other educational providers. And that there's going to be a process by what that's done. And, we don't have to do that. Are we willing to take that money so that the state can, control what curriculum we're using?
And my argument kind of is this, and I'd like to hear your take on it. We have Epic Charter School here, where
Sure.
You can school at home digitally if you would like, and you still get the same government money essentially that you would be inside a brick and mortar government public school.
Right.
So my argument kind of is if parents really want to do that,
Right.
then they're doing that. The
Sure.
ones of us that don't want to take the government money already aren't taking the government money. So really it just incentivizes people to leave Epic and take that money to say, no, now I'm just schooling at home. I mean, your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you bring up a very good point. What we have seen consistently, though, is a lot of these programs, they start off sounding really good.
Yes.
But then, even Epic, sounded really good. But what we've seen in other states is the fact that, as you said, their audits, they have to be accountable for the state money, and all of a sudden they find out all these abuses and all these systems, and so there's a significant crackdown that comes on later on. So I think there is, some significant concerns about, taking government money to privately educate your children at home, and it's not worth the cost.
I completely agree. TJ, thank you so much for taking
My
the
pleasure.
time to chat with us about that, and love to hear your perspective, and just thank you so much.
Well, glad to talk.
Excellent. Thanks.